Hey everyone, welcome back to the Libertas International podcast. I have this new mic that I got from Amazon, so I'm super pumped to use it, and I hope the sound quality sounds great on your end. It's Friday. It's Saturday afternoon. I'm getting ready to watch the Wyoming Cowboys play this evening. And it's an October day, perfect October day, and it just has me reflecting a lot on the origins of Libertas International, my journey. And so I'm going to share with you guys a little bit about one of my first cases. This case is very close to my heart. It's a case called Project Capotillo. And this case, it really exposed me to just the horrors of human trafficking, CSAM material, how people can be trafficked inside their own homes, who the bad guys are most of the time. It's just a case I go back and think about a lot because it's so close to my heart and my journey, and I'm excited to share it with you guys today. It's in the Dominican Republic, so that's where this journey is going to take us today, is to the Dominican Republic. And we work, very, very close with law enforcement, and law enforcement reached out about this case that they were working on and might need some assistance on. It was a case that came anonymously through. The story is crazy. Somebody went to the public ministry's office, which if you go to the public ministry's office in Santo Domingo, it's hard to get in, but it's also not hard to get in. Like, they check your backpack, they take all your metal, they check your cell phone, but once you're inside, you can basically go wherever you want. And so I guess somebody went in and left this hard drive disk on the door of the anti-trafficking office. And I had a friend that worked there. Her name was Sophia Brockman, and they took this disc, and what they found on it was truly horrific. It was the case of two little girls, ages 7 and 5, that were being exposed to CSAM material. And for those of you that don't know what CSAM is, in this field, we sure do work with a lot of acronyms. It stands for Child Sexual Abuse Material. If you follow like the Tim Tebow Foundation, they have a campaign that will educate a little bit on CSAM. The term used to be called child pornography, but that term has since died, and the child sexual abuse material is the more trauma-sensitive acronym and usage of that word. So they found what saw in this video was these two little girls. They were engaged in sexual acts with each other. The mother was directing them what to do, and it sounded like there was a Facebook group that was dedicated to the abuse of these two little girls that was based out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So they began to work the case. They began to work the case in a way that they would try to find out where it was broadcasting from, where this abuse was happening, and what we could do to support these two little girls. So I stayed in close contact with the Dominican National Police, the public ministry, mainly just to make sure that they had the resources to take care of these two little girls. Because this case was, in a lot of the human trafficking cases that we work across the world, the average age of a survivor is 14 years old when they're minors, but we also encounter a lot of adults. And so having two little girls ages 7 and 5, that is definitely younger than the norm. So the Dominicans worked. They did a great job on the investigation, and they found where the signal was broadcasting from, and it was in the body of Capotillo. That's why the operation was called Project Capotillo. The Dominicans asked for my help with some stuff for the operation, some gasoline for the cars, potentially some overtime support, and a hotel if needed for the agents that were working a late night to capture this case. And so they went in. This case happened in 2017. It's been a while since this case happened. 2017, they stormed the house, and what they found there was truly a hellhole. There were cameras on this filthy mattress. They were living in filth. There was all sorts of objects that the woman would use to abuse the girls, because she was paid via Bitcoin. And this woman who was the kid's mother, I even feel weird calling her that. Like, I don't consider her a mother. I consider her at best the person that gave life to these kids, but she was a trafficker. I feel weird calling her the girl's mother. They found objects. It sounds like it was the kids were abused with objects. The mother would abuse them with objects, take video, take pictures, send it to these guys in Pittsburgh. And then the people in Pittsburgh would pay to watch the 7-year-old girl do things to her 5-year-old little sister. And so they went into the house, and they rescued those 2 kids, and they also found a little boy in the house as well, who happened to be a year and a half old. And so they were taking him out. The mother was arrested, and the Dominicans asked me for help to find safe housing for these kids. Because of the age of the kids, it was going to be hard to find them safe housing, because so many of the orphanages, the aftercare homes, the facilities that care for these kids are separated by age and gender, and the government shelters are mainly tailored for teenagers. So having those kids in a teen home definitely is not the best environment for them, and they wanted to keep them together as a family. So we I learned a lot about this, just the culture of things, and how sometimes in the anti-trafficking movement we can do more harm to ourselves than good. We looked for homes. Me and the government officials, we were asking around. We did research. We were telling people about the case, and we almost thought we had one. We almost thought we had a home that would potentially take these kids. And when we got there, the government home was asking the religion of the agent that was on site for the rescue, which I thought was a really weird question. Like, we had a great conversation. Everything was going really well. And then this home director, and the home had a Christian name. I won't mention on the podcast, but they were a Christian home. They started asking questions about the religion of this investigator. And the investigator who works for the government was like, well, I don't think that's any of your business, for one, but if you have to know, I'm a Jew. And this person was totally put off by the fact that this guy was a Jew. He was like, well, I don't think we can take these kids in. Who knows, like, what you put into their head? Who knows what you've taught them? We don't think we can take them into the home, because they were rescued by the hands of a Jew. And I was just stunned. Like, I was just speechless. Like, I couldn't believe that this would be so ignorant to deny these 2 little kids and their little brother a place in the home based on the religion of the cop that investigated the case. Anyone that's ever been on an operation like that, a raid, a rescue, an intervention, whatever you want to call it, religion is not something that is pushed on the kids, at least not in a trauma-informed environment. When you're on those things, you want to make sure that those kids have those basic needs of water, shelter, safety, clothing, all these different things. Religion, that's never come up, at least not in the operations that I've been on. And for intentional reasons, it's not the time or the place to push religion or talk religion with these survivors as you work to gain report them. Anyway, the guy had a good comeback. He was like, I imagine Jesus is very proud of the decision that you just made. And then he walked off. We walked off, but our search continued. Our search continued because we wanted to keep these kids together. We didn't want them to be separate. We wanted to have a good environment where they could grow up. And so our search continued, and we kept looking, and we finally found one. We finally found a place where these kids could grow and thrive and develop, and it's this amazing place. I won't reveal the location, but it's run by a woman named Olga. And this Olga is a godsend. She's very Christian, and she's one of the most... I know Jesus better because I'm blessed to know Olga. I love her very much, and she read the case, and she was like, yes, of course we're going to take these 3 kids, keep them together, raise them here. We'll take care of them. And so that's what they did. They took him in. The little boy, he has some pretty severe vision problems, and so the home on their own got him like this very advanced, very special eye doctor where now the glasses that he has are massive, but he can see now, he can play. They have like the thing where that wraps around his head so that they don't fall off like when they're playing, because they're really expensive glasses. So he needs like the Velcro on the back to kind of keep the glasses attached to his head. And then the two girls, seeing them in freedom, seeing them laugh, seeing them have joy. And, you know, we wanted to continue to collaborate with this home. And so this home asked me if we could fund a rabbit farm in the home. And a rabbit farm, you know, I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on rabbits or how they're farmed. So I had Olga explain it to me, and she was like, well, rabbits are a delicacy here in the Dominican Republic. People can pay good money to eat the rabbits. You can sell the fur. They reproduce crazy quick, so it's a sustainable food income for us. It's protein. Protein is hard to get donated to these homes, because this home specifically relied on donated food, which that meant a lot of rice and beans, fruit that was just about to go bad, but not a lot of protein. And so it gave them a source of protein that they could then use for their home, their kids, which ended up being a lifesaver during the pandemic, when food shortages were around, when all this stuff was going down. The rabbits ended up being a big time, just allowed the kids to have protein. And it taught them a skill to where if it was something that they wanted to do and they could go home, they could buy 2 rabbits, male and female, and make a small business out of it. And so we helped put together this thing. It's an amazing place. It's got all these rabbits. I think the current count last time I was there was 116 rabbits that constantly kick out new rabbits. They're able to eat the rabbits. They're able to sell the rabbits. They said it was hard for the kids because they grow attached to the rabbits, and so it's tough for them to kill the rabbits. But I went down there when the cages were done, when the rabbit farm was done, and these 2 little survivors, they're the ones that gave me a tour of the place. And so we walked through this field. They took me to the rabbit cages, and they showed me around. They explained how it worked. They explained to me how the rabbits produce protein and how they sell the rabbits and the fur and how much it costs. And at this point, they were a little bit older. Maybe the oldest one was 9 and the youngest one was 7. They had grown up a couple years. It had been a couple years since they had been recovered from their situation. And the person that tends the rabbits, he was there, and this dude, he had so many scars on his wrists, on his hands, because these things claw, and he has to manage them and move them, and he has to like hold them by the ear, which it just looks super painful for the rabbits, but he has to do it because they bite and they claw. And there was talk of a picture, that we should all take a picture together with the rabbits, myself, Olga, the survivors, and the survivors were encouraging me to hold the rabbit, and I would not do it. I'm not a big animal guy per se. You know, I love animals, but if it's not a dog, I'm not interested in holding the animal. And so they started to make fun of me. They started to question my manhood. They started to encourage me to just grab it by the ears and just get over it. And I didn't cave to peer pressure. I'm not going to cave to peer pressure from a 9-year-old little girl. But the moment was not lost on me. To see this moment that was, I was getting made fun of, essentially, for not wanting to hold this freaking rabbit. But the moment is something that I'll always hold very dear, and it's a special memory that I hold in my heart because I saw where those kids came from. I've seen the pictures of their rescue. I've read the reports on their abuse. I know the mother because their mother has now been sentenced to, I believe, 15 years in federal prison in the Dominican Republic for the crime that she committed. I know where those kids came from. I know what was happening to them. And to have them now to live in a place where they can grow rabbits, explain how rabbits grow, and make fun of me for not being man enough to hold a rabbit, that is quite the change. It is freedom. I think that's what true freedom looks like in their case. And the moment that we shared together, and we've continued to share since, I go see them every year, make sure they're okay, and I get reports on them, make sure we can help support them with their educational needs, with their therapeutic needs. And the moment was not lost on me of how this investment will not only help these 2 survivors, but also help the other 100 kids that live in that home so that they can also gain a skill they can then use when they go back home. And getting made fun of in a rabbit farm was such a stark contrast to where they were 2 years before. And that's why Libertas International matters. That's why your donations matter. Because 2 years ago, those kids were being exploited by their mother for the entertainment and sick pleasure of all these men who were watching these Facebook Lives. And 2 years later, they're raising rabbits. They're making fun of people that don't want to hold the rabbits. And they're giving tours of this amazing place that they live. The life is not perfect. They obviously have a lot of trauma that we're continuing to work through. They will essentially grow up in that home because they have no family. And so we're walking alongside them to ensure that they have all the care that they need and they have the best chance to succeed when their time comes to leave that place. Because even though we rescued them, well, we didn't rescue. First and foremost, the Dominican cops rescued them with a little bit of help from us. And 2, those 2 girls and a little brother choose to rescue themselves every single day when they continue to work on themselves, continue to have joy, and just reach for their goals. They rescue themselves. So I'm going to take that back. I met those kids 2 years ago. I met those kids when they were 5 and 7. It's been a few years since it's happened. It happened in 2017. I met those kids when they were 5 and 7. They're older now, and we're continuing to walk through them. We continue to see them. We continue to support them, and we plan on being with them even after they turn 18, because once they come into contact with Libertas International, we consider you family for life. And going to give you every chance that we can, that our donors allow us to give, to ensure that they have education, therapeutic services, and have every chance, just as any other kid might have, to live a life of education, of joy, of healing. And it's because of you donors that we're able to make that happen. So I know I always end this podcast a lot saying the exact same thing, but those sacrifices that you make, I see those when it comes into the bank, and I know where that money goes. I just want to say thank you again for all the support that you give. It makes such an impact. I see the survivors are impacted by that. I see the justice that happens, and healing is happening. These girls are safe, they are healing, they are empowered, and justice happened, where the woman who was exploiting them will spend the next 15 years in prison. And this only happens because of you. And so, once again, I'm going to sign off and encourage you to go to libertasfreedom.org. It's in our show notes. If you're listening to this, you'll find it in the show notes, LIBERTAS freedom.org. Make a donation, become a monthly donor. Support us, give 5 stars to this podcast, because we're doing good work, but we need your help to continue to do it. And so, signing off from headquarters, this is Tyler. Go Cowboys tonight, playing Fresno State. Go Cowboys. Hope we get a win. That's what I'm doing this evening. Part of my self-care. Nothing takes care of me like watching grown men hit each other and trying to get a specific piece of pigskin to a specific space of real estate. Take care of yourselves out there. I know these podcasts are heavy, but it's important work. It's important to see the darkness, to be able to fight the darkness. We cannot fight the darkness blind. So you sacrificing your innocence to listen to these podcasts, I recognize that sacrifice, and I'm thankful for that sacrifice. We'll see you next time on the Libertas International podcast. Go find us online. Go give us a star rating on our podcast. Make a donation. And continue to allow us to support survivors across the world, like these 2 survivors and their little brother, so that they can find hope, healing, and justice with all of us at Libertas International.